but there's something special about this Mass that is here. Each of us are hoping for freedom, for bliss, for love. And so to hear each other speak these things will give you dimension to the teachings, especially if you listen with a pure heart. Yeah, so I invite you to listen with a pure heart. I don't know what they're going to talk about. To Anahita and Nick, I'm interested. Yeah. Woo!
We briefly tell, just really quickly set up the context for how this started and how we came to teach or share this. Teach what? I don't know what we're going to be teaching.
Don't be bashful.
Share this information and how it came about.
Yeah. So I had the blessed opportunity to meet His Holiness's former representative, who's a Tibetan man called Lobsang Nyangdak, at the Tibet house when I just intuitively felt like I should go to the Tibet house after years. So I walked in and there was a reception and there were monks and wine and music, and I walked in and I said, "What's going on?" Everybody said, "It's His Holiness's birthday, organized by his representative. Come up." So I went upstairs and sat in meditation, totally in awe, because how did I know and how did I end up there? I don't know what the answer is. So anyway, Lobsang came to me and we became friends, and I went over to his office, which was the office of Tibet, and I said, "How can I ever serve you and His Holiness?" And he said, "Do an event, a fundraiser for us," which we are now in the process of doing on December 10th. Yeah. Oh, that, okay. Yeah, that's a flyer for our event. So December 10th in Soho, we're going to host a fundraiser, which is the 24th anniversary of His Holiness's Nobel Peace Prize. So we're commemorating the anniversary, and we're going to have a beautiful Twin City event. Twin City is the name of our event production company. So anyway, he got us tickets. He got us free tickets to His Holiness's teachings, and I remember calling Hector and saying, "Hector, would you like to take the tickets? You and Stephen go." And Hector said, "No, you and Nick go, but under the condition that after the teachings you come and you share your knowledge." And this is how we came here.
Yes. I just made her talk first because I was too nervous to speak. So,
Just that.
yeah. So one of the most amazing things for me at the beginning of His Holiness's teachings was how fundamental the questions were he was asking. I thought I was going to go and get like the SAT on Buddhism and score like a 200. And so one of the first questions they asked was, or His Holiness asked and Thupten communicated, was, why do we practice Dharma? Like the simple, like, why are you here? You know, why do we do this? And so I was just really interested, because I'll probably never be allowed to come back up here again, to hear from you guys just really briefly what keeps you coming back here, and like why. Maybe one or two people could just share like why, in a soundbite, you could say why you do this. Steve?
The really handsome teacher.
I'm only here. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think for me it's because I think everything's interesting. I really, I like to say I don't know anything. So I'm really pretty open in general to most ideas and listening and hearing, and I think coming to this and making myself kind of develop a pattern, like telling myself I'll come to this even if it's something I don't understand just yet. It's helped me kind of grow, and like this is the last class, and I was talking to Hector on the break, and I got a little emotional. It's just like I feel something. I feel something. And I feel this. I get why you're so attached. I get why you're devoted to it. I get a little bit. And so that's why I keep coming back, because I get a little bit, and then that's what it's just you need a spark.
Nice.
You get it.
That's beautiful.
For me, it's kind of like, I guess a couple years ago, I realized that things in my life could be different, but then the question was how? Like, literally, what do you do once you get that glimpse? How do you change the way that you live? And so I think this is one of the tools for that. Just like that you can implement systematically to change your life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. As His Holiness and Thupten is His Holiness's translator, who's the most gifted I think is actually a Geshe, right? He completed the Geshe degree, and he's an amazing being. He's His Holiness's translator. I'm so grateful that he was there. As it was communicated to us, the real purpose of Dharma is to transform your mind and to develop the seed of potential so that you might become a Buddha. Which brought us to the next most building block, fundamental, playing in the sand question: what is a Buddha? Which also made me go, oh, what is a Buddha? So somebody more intelligent than me, please maybe share, one person, your idea of what a Buddha is.
Can I say something?
You can say whatever you like.
I'm going to ask that you speak kindly about my friend.
No problem.
Okay.
Which one?
Him.
Nice.
Thank you. That's really beautiful. Thank you.
That's a Buddha.
Yeah. Yeah, it really got me, and I think everyone that attended the teachings. What is a Buddha, and what would the qualities of a Buddha be? And as we were taught, it was someone who is completely free from afflictions, who has had a direct experience of reality, and whose body, speech, and mind are all aligned. And they've realized the Four Noble Truths. Someone who has achieved freedom. These are only the words that I heard, because I have none of these things. Yes, Mark?
I think a Buddha has extraordinary powers to reach beings who need help. As they need it, he could help those more than a Bodhisattva. Some extraordinary power. And also not affected by samsara and having great love. He's always in bliss. So he has his bliss, and he wants us to have it too.
Yeah, that's really nice. Somebody who's mastered wisdom and compassion.
Yeah.
And the teachings we received over the weekend were teachings in the Heart Sutra, Rajnaparamita, and the remembering of the three.
The Buddha establishing the three
Buddha
pledges.
establishes the three pledges, and then the 9th chapter of the Bodhisattva as well.
And then an initiation.
And then an initiation. So the teaching, what we're really going to share today is on what I learned about emptiness, and because through all of those teachings was a kind of a current of a teaching on emptiness, which, as I understand it, based on what His Holiness taught, is an understanding of the true nature of reality, which the world we live in is a world of opposites. It doesn't immediately show us that true nature of reality. So we live in a world that's very much characterized by good and bad, and right and wrong, and day and night, attachment and aversion. Especially in, I notice this is not what His Holiness taught, but in pop culture and in films and TV, we see there's the good guy and there's the bad guy. There's the hero and there's the villain. And all of this is based on our understanding of conventional reality. I love a quote from Hamlet that is basically, nothing is either good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. So your mind labeling that thing, establishing whether it's good or bad, that is, it's really beautiful. And one of the quotes His Holiness mentioned to us was, Nagarjuna said that which arises from a condition is devoid of arising. So that which comes from a condition is without existence, or it doesn't actually have a reality. So nothing is either good, or the opposite of that would be bad, but your thinking makes it so. Am I on point so far?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Great.
I'm grateful that you're teaching, and I'm grateful that you're listening and sharing. And the higher you can keep this, I can't tell you the happiness that I feel.
It just really, I mean, it got me, feel free to shout in at any point, it just got me examining, like, really, I thought I had an idea of what is good and what is bad and what is clear. And the teaching on emptiness, as it continued to, in the Heart Sutra especially, continued to remove my perceptions on what is good, what is bad, what is what is Nick, what is Hector, what is Anahita. It's our conventional labeling that you see this person is different than this person than this person. Tipton and I almost said Anahita, like Tipton and Anahita were hanging out.
I wish.
Yeah, me too. Tipton communicated to us that His Holiness teaches that the ultimate nature of our mind is clear light. Does anybody have an idea of what that might mean? Because I didn't when I heard it.
Well, according to what His Holiness taught, clear light is when all pollutants that usually obscure the mind are pacified. So it's the essential nature of the mind, which I believe the Heart Sutra is pointing towards, using dualistic language and concepts. So it's almost like if you feel into your brain, I'm obsessed with neuroscience and the way the brain responds to states of mind. It's almost like the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance that is created when you really read the Heart Sutra. It forces you to slip into the state of non-dual awareness, and thereby perhaps go further into, or go beyond into the state of clear light. So he took us through the dualistic point of view, but also taught us that ultimately the goal is to attain the state of unpolluted, undistorted minds of clear light.
One of the texts that I had the pleasure of hearing when we attended a teaching by Venerable Nicholas Freeland that was a follow-up on the Heart Sutra, and it was on Nagarjuna's Precious Garland, which I think it examines really nicely the teaching on emptiness. I'm just going to read it. That it was just as when a banana tree with all its parts is torn apart, there is nothing. So when a person having the 6 constituents is divided, it is the same. The 6 constituents being earth, water, fire, wind, space, and consciousness. Therefore the conquerors said, all phenomena are selfless. Since this is so, all 6 constituents have been delineated as selfless for you. Thus neither self nor non-self are to be apprehended as real. Therefore the great subduer rejected views of self and non-self. Sights, sounds, and so forth were said by the subduer not to be true and not to be false. If from one position its opposite arises, both do not exist. So if from one, like we said earlier, from one place we go like this is good, this is bad, then neither of which are true, right? If you say this is a pen, and then Hector thinks it's an ice cream cone, is it either a pen or an ice cream cone? It's totally based on your labeling of it, and neither of which are inherently or ultimately true.
One very profound thing for me was His Holiness pointed out that the Heart Sutra is actually comprised of, is that correct? Made of 8,000 verses of text. So the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra is 8,000 verses of text. Yes.
There's a 25,000, I think there's 100,000.
Wow.
Right,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
goes up to, yeah.
And the Heart Sutra is a more condensed.
The Heart Sutra is a more condensed one, and if you were to condense the Heart Sutra to its essence, to its very essence, it can be reduced to a single syllable, which I talked to you about, which is the syllable A-H, which is the syllable associated with negation. So if you boil everything down, all the teachings of the Heart Sutra, you get to the very essence. It's talking about negation. Therefore, if you can you quote a little bit of it?
Yeah. Arya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva during deep prajnaparamitas perceived the senseless emptiness of all 5 aggregates. O Sariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is precisely emptiness, emptiness precisely form. Whatever is form, that is emptiness. Whatever emptiness, that is form. Sensation, perception, formations, and consciousness are also like this. O Sariputra, all dharmas are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, nor pure, neither lacking nor complete.
So based upon this thing, this practice of negation, you get to a point which quantum physics also talks about, where there is nothing to find. So His Holiness, I actually asked the question, I wrote it, and His Holiness responded. I said, how do you most skillfully teach a non-Buddhist who's not familiar with the concepts, the ideas of emptiness and dependent origination and karma, and he just said, teach quantum physics. So in quantum physics, basically if you break down particles, you get to a point where you understand that only through the observer lens can you pinpoint a particle fixed in space and time. Otherwise, if the observer is not there, which is the same thing the middle way school teaches, there is no objective reality. So it only appears when there is also a perceiver in a dialogue with it. Therefore, the whole teachings were on absence, because there is no objective self-existent reality, which is what Nick was talking about. So based on that, if you really establish an understanding of that, then you can build on the concepts of impermanence, and then you can really go into interdependence, and then go into causality, which is karma and emptiness. So His Holiness said, first establish your mind in this concept of there not being an objective reality. Then go into everything else. And that's what differentiates a scientific approach to a blind faith approach. His Holiness is a proponent of secular what does he call it? Secular ethics versus sort of like traditionalist blind faith. He says,
Go ahead.
yeah, he says first understand the mind through the lens of science. Once you have a scientific understanding, then go into the philosophical concepts. Once you understand the philosophical concepts, then you can become a practitioner of the religion of Buddhism.
I remember the thing, it used to come up a lot in this class, but it's like, I forget the specific quote, I have it in my book, but it's, study, His Holiness talked a lot about, like, have a real clear understanding, at least our ability to wrap your mind around emptiness before you renunciate, or before you take Bodhisattva vows. Like, have a real clear grasp on the teachings on emptiness before you just throw yourself to kind of what Anit is saying in blind faith. And he said something else like that, a goldsmith tests gold before he buys it, or before he or she accepts it. So like, do the same with these teachings. Like, nothing of this should just be like, so I think I get on the nerves of these two people especially a lot, because I'm always like, what is this, is this emptiness, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, shh. And I'm so curious, because I'm always wanting to test to make sure that these things are working, right? Because if they're not working, I'm not, I mean, I say this respectfully to everyone in the room, I'm not doing this for tradition or for ceremony. I'm doing it because I believe this is going to get me out of the crab bucket.
Crab bucket.
Crab bucket. Just to trace.
If there are crabs in the bucket, then maybe it's okay.
A crepe bucket.
Yeah.
Crepe bucket.
And then His Holiness also talked about ignorance being the root of all suffering. That direct antidote to suffering is emptiness. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty great. So the realization of emptiness must enforce understanding of compassion, he said. So, you know, when you have an understanding of emptiness, then compassion will rise. I don't really know if that works. Is it like a process, or do they come at the same time? I don't know.
That's a good question.
At least on an intellectual level, like, we talk a lot about, I'm a real proponent of talking about the Higgs boson particle, the thing they discovered this year, which was developed at that CERN laboratory in Europe. When they broke particles down to their smallest level, if you don't know, at least in their understanding so far, the smallest they could break down a particle is this particle called the Higgs particle, which they call the God particle, which they believe all things are made of. So if you're looking at a banana tree, like in the Gardiner's Precious Garland, you break it down and you strip away the bark, and you strip away the bananas and the leaves, and you get to the molecular level, even, like, you're implementing an understanding of physics even at that point, to look at how small it can be broken down. And if everything is made of the same thing, then you would have really no choice but to be compassionate to all things. Because if this Hector is made up of the same things that Nick is made up of, then I know that by damaging those Higgs particles in Hector, then I'm going to damage those Higgs particles in me. Right? I also recently just listened to a talk by Robert Thurman and Sharon Salzberg, and he talked about equating emptiness to, which is I think what His Holiness was talking about, and I'm ignorant, so I don't really know the details, but in physics there's something called the 0 point something, 0 point where it's, I'm sorry?
No, just continue.
It's like this, it's like the point where where all things come together, but there is nothing. So like
Point of singularity. Is that what
it's like that, but it varies in some way. The singularity is in a black hole, but it's the same idea.
Are you talking about like where the universe came from? Like Planck time?
No, 0 points.
No,
I know what you're
you know what I'm
talking
talking
about.
about?
It's
I don't
different,
have the final 0 point. It's maybe 0 point continuum, but it's that single point where they try to pinpoint in physics where actually everything is contained, and he said that's the closest thing that exists that sums up the teachings on emptiness, so that everything is a continuum, right? So they're starting to reach those places, and His Holiness, of course, rightly said, study quantum physics for the Western mind, especially. It's the most palpable and I think approachable way that we can go like break things down and still validate them and make them clear for our minds.
Yeah, and my final note here is that therefore we live, why do we say we're ignorant? Because we've created a reality based upon these designated labels that we've put on everything, and the subjective labeling, and live according to these subjective labelings, assuming that these are self-existent, assuming that these are objective, like they exist as a universal rule, and that independently from us, the perceiver, and thereby we just keep ourselves in this loop of suffering and suffer a lot.
So to bring the thing full circle really quickly, I'm sorry we're taking so much time. Lupsang, who is the reason, who knows where he arose from, but the initial impetus of why we have these tickets, we're now putting on an event for the Tibet Fund to try to raise a lot of money for Tibetan refugees in Bhutan, Nepal, and India. And so if anyone, for any reason, has anything that they think they can contribute to that, or give us advice or shake our hands and say, you go girl, whatever you want to give. If you have anything and you want to say, hey, I know someone who could maybe help with this, or talk to us, we would certainly love any input, encouragement, or a contribution you have.
It's a brave and beautiful thing they're doing. They just went, knocked on His Holiness's house door, and they said, we're here to help, and they said, okay, help with this. So be careful what you ask for. And now they're doing this awesome fundraiser, right? And it's big money, it's nice, it's like, la-di-da, New York bow tie thing. And they're going to have a great performance. I want to say thank you both so much for being strong to come up, and I can't tell you how happy it makes me feel to know that you're all like this, and that I'm part of you like this, that we're building something lovely, and that may everybody we come in contact with just feel this palpable, beautiful thing, which is to awaken, to awaken. So please stay, and please, I hope in next year when we start this ACI classes again, I'll announce the January time slot, which is Death in the Realms, which I love. ACI 8. We'll start that in January. Until then, please think about these things. It's the first time you hear the Bodhisattva ideal in this detail. Please think about it, especially over Thanksgiving and between now and Christmas. Why are you listening to these things? What did you hear? Take some action with your life about them. I don't mind what it is, it's got to be right for you. So until I see you again, I think, Steve, you've got an announcement for what comes up here every Thursday. Until then, and please support the 3 Jewels. I'm away for a month. I hope each of you have a magnificent and beautiful time. And truly, from the depths of my heart, thank you for letting me do this. For inviting me to do this and letting me do it over and over. It's bliss. It's really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What happens Thursdays?
We have an Algonquin Native American speaker. His name is Evan T. Pritchard. He wrote a couple books. One of them is called No Word for Time. Another one is called Native New Yorker, because Algonquin is based out of this region. And he's going to be doing a comparing and the similarities and differences between Bodhisattvas and something called the Land Keepers, which is very similar to a Bodhisattva, but in a Native American tradition.
It was actually beautiful to hear him talk. So he's an amazing guy. If you've got a Thursday free, please come, because there's a tradition here, and they can name the places where these practices happened here in New York. He does tours around New York and takes people to this. There was a tree here. We have evidence of this, and then this whole idea. What did he call them again? The land keepers. Yeah.
Land keepers.
Land keepers. Bodhisattvas. They gave themselves for the sake of every being. So beautiful. So that's on next Thursday?
No, not next Thursday. Next Thursday's Thanksgiving. Don't come here.
Yeah, don't come here Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Those beautiful teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama that Nick and Anaita just described, they're available online. They became available a couple days ago. So they were posted on the Three Jewels website or Facebook.
Facebook page.
Maybe we can put it on the website as well.
Maybe.
Live stream, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the link is on our Facebook page.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like our Facebook page.
Yeah, everybody like our Facebook page. I've got one more thing, and then do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Party?
Oh, yeah, the party. There's a fundraising party for the Three Jewels. It is a precious place, but it takes money and commitment and volunteers. And I know many of you have volunteered so much of your time and energy. And actually, I want to say thank you to the people who have volunteered. Leslie, thank you so much. You look after us every Thursday. It's so lovely to be welcomed by you and be forced to sign the sign-in sheet.
Good, really good.
I'm really grateful. And this fundraiser is on December
7th. It's a Saturday night. Come and have a good time.
And
I believe Anna, you're going to dance.
I'm so we dancing.
Michael, you will play guitar. We have other guitar music. We have gypsy violin music.
And we're gonna have. I'm gonna play.
nice.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
It's gonna be awesome.
I play the cello. Yeah. We
Flavia
have.
is doing the food. Where's Flavia?
Flavia is.
She left?
There she is.
Well,
Yeah,
she's
she's her
still
and her
here.
husband. It's all day. Oh yeah, and Venerable Punsak is doing a teaching in the afternoon. So it's from 4 o'clock until 10. So whenever you can come. It's also a nice opportunity if you want to bring friends to share with them without them having to feel like you're dragging
Weird.
them into some
Yeah.
crazy religious thing. You know, just bring them and be with awesome people. We had vendors coming selling things. There'll be Tibetan handcrafts and local artisans from New York, so you can support people that way instead of going to Macy's. So it's gonna be super fun.
Shop for Christmas.
And there will be lots of things to buy, so bring money. And some of the things that we don't sell at this Friday's awesome event at Little Skips, yeah? So tomorrow night, big party at Little Skips in Bushwick, for those of you who know the hood. They're doing a fundraiser to send all the cash over in spring. For spring, we're going to hang out with all the 108 Lives, the orphanages, etc., etc. We're going to this very place with those of you who have been, know how beautiful and magnificent it is, and we're just going to have fun. There's a DJ set being played by LCD Sound Systems, for those of you who are as hip as me to know what that means. What did I call them? RCA? Like RCA Sound System, that's the old dog with the speakerphone, you know, from 1935. Yeah. So this could be you. You could be traveling, raffling off a ticket to Nepal. So you could win a trip to Nepal by winning a golden ticket. Yeah. So by raffle, they're also available here. And anything that we have, this crazy, beautiful Bushwick art. Yeah, you could put a bid on art auction. Yeah. So come and hang out, listen to music, eat cookies made by Rachel, which you will be addicted, yeah, after you have those. And there's at least, this is how beautiful it is. We went and infected Bushwick with these ideas. There are people now saying, oh, plant good seeds, be kind to each other, etc., etc. They decided to do this. We didn't force them. They've gotten 25 local artists to donate their art, to donate goods like $200 coffee class at Counter Coffee. Momo Sushi Shack is offering food. Any of those things that don't get auctioned and make us cash in Bushwick, we're going to give to the 3 Jewels and raise cash over here for you guys. Yeah. So there'll be even some of these stuff because everyone in Bushwick is poor. They like coming for the party, but they're not going to buy anything. Yeah. So thank you so much for this time. I hope you have a great December and love each other and be kind to each other. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anahita. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, this could be you soon. Be careful.